In the African continent, sometimes the secrets of the wild remain hidden from the public, with rare species of creatures that have stayed out of sight for decades, becoming mere legends. In a world ruled by powerful lions, whose roar splits the air and instills fear in hearts. Many lions that walk this earth have been known for their traditional species and distinctive shapes. However, what Mother Nature concealed was at one time considered old tales and myths, until they were photographed and confirmed as real. Therefore, we embark on our adventure today to discover the truth behind what has been said about the black-maned lion, dark as the night, a ghost among his feline brethren. He is the Ethiopian black lion, which some denied its existence, firmly believing that such species had become extinct. But by chance, a camera lens captured an amazing event, revealing a specimen of this legendary lion, astonishing everyone. In this special documentary, we will go beyond the unknown, where legends become reality, and tell an inspiring and exciting story about the lion that defied the odds and made the world believe in its existence and its immense destructive and controlling power. Here in the depths of East Africa, away from familiar paths, where the desert gives way to rugged mountains and cloud forests, lies one of the harshest and most astonishing places on this planet, Bale Mountains National Park in Ethiopia. This kingdom, forgotten by time and rarely trodden by humans, maintains its wild natural course. Here, Ethiopian wolves, caracals, and a variety of endemic birds coexist, each playing its role in this exceptional ecosystem. However, in the distant past, the roar of the big cats dominated the region's hierarchy, with the Ethiopian lion holding power in past decades. This fierce predator is slightly smaller than the African savanna lion but has stronger muscles and broader bones. One of its attention-grabbing features is its generally bicolored mane. The Ethiopian lion possesses a black mane with a light golden center, and their body coat, whether male or female, is denser and more golden in color, reflecting sunlight. This color, coupled with the mane's size, makes the Ethiopian lion more majestic. However, these species were considered extinct, having vanished due to hunting and a lack of natural prey. But in 2016, everything changed. Hans Bauer, a professor and researcher at Harvard University, led an expedition with his students to study endemic species. When they activated night cameras, they noticed footprints very similar to those of big cats. Despite their intense fear for their lives, they were thrilled, as this could indicate that the species once considered extinct still roamed the area. It didn't take long for them to catalog about 200 Ethiopian lions, which were only present in zoos, healthy and well. Among these normally appearing lions, there was one specimen that could become a true natural marvel. The lions roaming these lands, despite their distinct characteristics and behaviors, are not very different from their relatives in the savanna south of the Sahara. In general, lions are the greatest hunters in Africa. They are formidable predators in the savanna, known for their territorial alliances and cooperative hunting techniques. Females, the excellent huntresses, coordinate movements and tactics to deliver the killing blow, while males, with their majestic manes, defend the territory and ensure the group's survival. They are lions whose stories we know well, with their great strength and cunning. A year after the discovery, in 2017, a new surprise occurred in the Ethiopian region. The black lion was encountered again after Hans Bauer and his students' previous discovery in Alatash National Park. At a distance of 264 kilometers in Bale Mountains National Park, another Ethiopian lion appeared. A lion with a 90% black mane, a feature never seen before in the world. What makes this lion so rare and extraordinary is its thicker fur, especially around the mane area. It is not just an aesthetic feature, but also an evolutionary sign of adaptation to the cold climate of the mountains and cloud forests. However, seeing the Ethiopian lion with a black mane without the well-known golden color was considered both strange and marvelous. For scientists, this color could indicate the existence of a different subspecies, perhaps genetically isolated from its distant relatives. However, the real mystery is their presence in the region, as the only wild group of Ethiopian lions was discovered more than 200 kilometers away decades ago. For years, it was believed that these lions had vanished forever. Yet, what makes this story even more intriguing is the fact that, despite the isolation, the area has been home to nomadic herders who travel annually in search of fertile pastures, often entering the territory of the black-maned lion. This meeting of worlds has always been shrouded in danger and mystery, with local stories often regarded as legends. Reports of seeing a powerful and different lion were seen as local tales, manifestations of an exciting spirit of nature deeply rooted in these people's beliefs. But the truth is, this lion was real indeed.
Dear viewers, welcome. The time, March 1898. The place, Kenya, east of the famous Mount Kilimanjaro in the harsh Tsavo Desert. This is where it all began. Terrifying stories were passed down, and tragic news spread of men who met their end in the jaws of two of the fiercest lions of the time, who alone were responsible for the deaths of up to 135 people, leaving behind images of the victims and the immense tragedy that befell them. Throughout history, Tsavo lions were known as some of the fiercest man-eating types. Despite being smaller than their Serengeti counterparts who lived up the mountain, likely due to their harsh, resource-scarce environment. It was also said that these lions were usually found in small prides, often with only one male for mating, who held exclusive breeding rights. In contrast, most other prides included many lionesses and at least two males. As the slave trade routes developed through Tsavo, Kenya, many traders forcefully marched their captives across the barren lands. Due to the extreme heat, one of the slaves often died along the way, left behind as easy prey for predators. Many believe this gave the Tsavo lions an early taste for human flesh. The tragedy began when a team of Indian workers led by British Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Patterson arrived in Kenya to build a bridge over the Tsavo River as part of the Kenya-Uganda Railway project. It seemed doomed from the start. As Bruce Patterson wrote in his book, The Lions of Tsavo, few men at the end of the railway knew that the name itself was a warning. Tsavo meant place of slaughter in the local language, referring to the killings committed by the Maasai people, who often attacked weaker tribes and slaughtered their men, long seen as an omen of doom by other communities. Shortly after John Henry Patterson and his team began construction, a worker went missing. After searching, his mutilated body was found. Fearing that a lion was responsible, Patterson, realizing the looming danger, set out the next day to stop the horror and track the beast. Instead, he found more bodies, men from earlier missions whose stories had been buried with them. The next day, another of Patterson's men vanished. By April, the number of missing had risen to 17. And that was just the beginning. The killings continued for months, with the clever, elusive lions outwitting every fence, barrier, and trap set up to stop them, causing hundreds of workers to flee and halting bridge construction. The lion attacks devastated the camp. No one could stop the massacres, especially since they often happened at night, when the hungry beasts stalked the workers relentlessly. Screams pierced the night as these savage predators dragged men from their tents into the wild. Most reports claimed 135 people were eaten by the two lions that year. But the company, eager to downplay the incident and avoid inflating the numbers, officially declared only around 30 workers missing. The violence didn't end until January of that year, when Patterson finally hunted the lions down. It wasn't easy. He built thorn barriers, lit night fires, and imposed curfews. Still, the attacks continued, leading fearful workers to believe in curses and even rebel against Patterson. It took Patterson months to kill the terrifying pair of African lions, who had grown massive from gorging on human flesh during months of slaughter. Patterson was instantly hailed as a hero for ending the brutal crime spree and praised around the world. Once the threat was gone, bridge work resumed and the workers finally regained confidence. The project was completed in February 1899. As a historical memento of the massacre, Patterson kept the lions' skins and skulls. In 1907, he published a best-selling book, The Man-Eaters of Tsavo. A quarter-century later, the skins and bones were sold to Chicago's Field Museum, where they were mounted and displayed to the public as legendary monsters. But the story didn't end there. Bruce Patterson, zoologist and Field Museum curator, spent years studying the lions. Chemical tests on their hair keratin and bone collagen confirmed they had eaten human flesh in the months before being shot. The tests also revealed one lion had eaten 11 people and the other 24, making the actual death toll just 35, far less than Patterson's claim of 135. In 2009, Nathaniel J. Dominy, associate professor of anthropology at UC Santa Cruz, said, "It was a historical mystery for years, and now the contradiction has finally been addressed. We can imagine the railway company had reasons to downplay the deaths, and Patterson may have had motives to exaggerate them." A second study revealed the lion who ate more people had dental disease, a bad jaw, and skull damage. He likely turned to eating humans out of desperation. Meanwhile, there was a noticeable decline in other prey, mainly elephants. So when humans entered the area, they became easy alternative meals. Although we know more today about the truth of the Tsavo lions, they remain mythical symbols of their era. As Bruce Patterson told the Chicago Tribune in 2009, the Tsavo lions' remarkable achievement was that they halted the British Empire at the height of its power in Tsavo. The story of the Tsavo lions became legend, told as a tale of courage and survival. But more importantly, it's a reminder that nature can be cruel and unpredictable, and that no matter how advanced mankind becomes, he remains vulnerable to untamable forces. If we take a contemplative look around the world and gather enough data to survey the types of cats spread across the globe, we'll find many species, large and small, tame and deadly. But if we look to identify the most ferocious and powerful types, we'll find, in certain regions, cats known for their skill, dominance, and ferocity. In the Americas, we find cougars and jaguars. In Africa, there are lions and leopards, while in Asia, tigers and leopards dominate. But when you turn your gaze to Australia, you won't find any big cats there. For several reasons we'll explore in this exciting episode, where we'll imagine the presence of one of the most feared felines among its kind, one of the most capable predators on the planet, the lion. If we assume its presence, we'll be faced with several crucial questions about life across the isolated continent, such as, would the presence of lions destroy Australia's entire ecosystem? How would lions adapt to a new world? And what would it mean for all the native species already living there? Let's begin by learning about the land known as Australia. As mentioned, there are no big cats there. No tigers, no lions, no jaguars, no leopards, no snow leopards, no cheetahs, no cougars, not even lynxes, caracals, or ocelots. There were reports of American soldiers arriving in Australia during World War II who brought cougars and leopards as companion animals. Perhaps some of these cats were released into the wild, but if so, their numbers were clearly limited. There's no trace of them today. In fact, Australia is home to some of the most unique species in the world, thanks to its isolation from other continents. It's famously known as the land of kangaroos, wallabies, wombats, and koalas, and rightly so. It also hosts many unique mammals and is the only place on Earth that contains all three kinds of mammals: placentals, monotremes, and marsupials. Among its predators is the dingo, the continent's only native wild dog. There are dozens of giant venomous snakes and spiders. If we told you the actual number, it might send chills down your spine. And let's not forget, Australia is full of deadly crocodiles. Both freshwater and saltwater species live here. These crocodiles dominate the northern regions of Australia, which are considered extremely dangerous. The further south you go, the less common they become due to the cooler climate. Crocodiles prefer to stay near warm water. Australia lies close to the equator. Its northern parts sit around 9 degrees south, stretching to about 44 degrees south, where the weather becomes colder. That's why Australia has such a diverse landscape: tropical rainforests, mountain ranges, remote inland areas, and deserts in the semi-arid interior. The outback is sparsely populated, with just about 3.4 people per square kilometer, equivalent to around 0.6 people per square mile. So, don't expect to see more than 7 people in every square mile of those vast areas. That's why most of Australia's population lives along the coast or nearby, where conditions are more suitable for humans. So now that we've understood the nature and climate of this continent, we must consider how to gather some lions and prepare to transport them. Let's head out on an exciting journey to Africa to obtain some of these lions. Africa shares many similarities with Australia. One of them is the diversity of habitats, including tropical rainforests, mountain regions, and deserts. Northern Australia lies near the equator, while the equator cuts through Central Africa. When we examine where lions live, we find they mainly inhabit sub-Saharan Africa, avoiding the vast desert. But the areas they do occupy are not tropical rainforests. Lions live in savannas, grasslands, and even dry plains, so they are well adapted to dry heat. They can also be found in mountainous areas, living at elevations up to 3,600 meters on Mount Elgon, along the Uganda-Kenya border, and even near the snow line of Mount Kenya. Therefore, in Australia, lions would likely avoid dense rainforests since they're not their preferred habitat. But they would thrive in the drier regions. The areas lions naturally inhabit rarely dip below 20 degrees Celsius, even in colder months, and they're accustomed to daytime temperatures between 26 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius. Due to these factors, lions prefer to stay near a permanent water source, but also require ample shade. They spend a lot of time in direct sunlight, so they need cover when necessary. They also prefer dense vegetation, like shrubs and tall grass, vital for hunting. Calling lions killers is no exaggeration. They must hunt to survive. Lions are large carnivores and need substantial meals. So how do you feed a predator that can weigh up to 225 kilograms? Lions prefer large-hoofed mammals, especially zebras, antelopes, gazelles, and buffaloes. These prey typically weigh between 225 and 900 kilograms. And lions don't usually eat alone. There's often a hungry pride to feed. A lion pride may consist of 6, 10, 15, or even more members. That's why they prefer larger prey for the whole group. However, if needed, lions can feed on smaller animals like warthogs, turtles, birds, rabbits, lizards, and mice. Usually, the females do most of the hunting, while males protect the pride and its territory. Lions must deal with rival predators trying to intrude and steal prey, such as hyenas, leopards, cheetahs, African wild dogs, and even other lions. But lions rarely struggle with these predators. They're larger and stronger than all of them. None of them can sneak up on an alert lion. And even if they manage to steal some food and flee, only a few escape the jaws of a killer lion. The only real threat to be wary of is the crocodile. Lions in Africa are very familiar with the thin-snouted West African crocodiles and the Nile crocodile. Nile crocodiles have terrifying bites, up to 2 tons of pressure per square inch. So lions have learned to approach water cautiously and leave quickly after drinking. Now that we've gathered enough information, let's assemble the lion group, say around 12 of them, and head toward Australia. We'll fly southeast across the Indian Ocean to deliver the prize safely. Upon landing, the lions begin to explore the new land. As they adapt, they discover many areas that resemble their native habitat, tropical rainforests they'd likely avoid, mountainous zones, open plains, and vast outback regions. All these regions are strikingly similar to the African savannas and grasslands. And since these areas are sparsely populated, that's perfect for the lions, just like much of the land they once ruled in Africa. So far, things are looking very good. As the lions explore more, they'll find water sources, cover for hunting, and shade to rest. Lions are already used to being apex predators, but they knew back in Africa that they had competition from other predators eager for prey and ready to steal kills. But in Australia, after surveying their surroundings, they'll realize there are no competing big cats, no hyenas, only dingoes, which are similar to African wild dogs. With competition reduced by about 25%, things just got a lot easier. As for crocodiles dominating the waters and sometimes venturing onto land, the lions will need to tread more carefully around these reptiles. Fortunately, they're already trained to avoid them. The real problem for lions lies in the scarcity of their favorite meals. Large hoofed mammals simply don't exist in Australia. The continent has been separated from the others for so long that many placental mammals never fully developed here. For this group of lions, their best options might be wallabies, wombats, koalas, birds, and lizards. But these are far smaller than the animals lions usually eat. They may feed one lion, but not a whole pride. That means they'll need to work harder to get meals, and not everyone will share. Survival will belong to the fittest. There are some larger wild pigs, and of course, kangaroos. But kangaroos are a tricky case. Some are quite large, and they fight back. Literally, they punch. Lions may not enjoy hunting prey that resists, but they may have no choice and will eventually chase kangaroos too. Still, nothing compares to zebras or buffaloes for them. Over time, if the lion group continues adapting, thriving, and reproducing, African lions will remain larger than their Australian-born counterparts, who would shrink due to food scarcity. As for all the small marsupials, kangaroos, and wild pigs, they'll have to adapt to their new predator. They'll face a life-or-death struggle against a ruthless, ever-hungry beast. On the other hand, if the lions fail to adapt to the harsh conditions of Australia, their survival will hinge on food availability. If they struggle to find enough, they'll suffer great losses, brutal conflict, and hunger, ultimately leading to their extinction on the continent. 6 terrifying animals that can defeat the fearsome Komodo dragon. Legends take us back to tales of ancient dragons that breathe fire and death. But are they merely myths or terrifying truths? We may never know the answer. But some living beasts make those legends seem like madness. At the top of that list is the terrifying Komodo dragon. The Komodo dragon can reach a length of 3 meters and a weight of 130 kilograms. It has strong legs ending in claws that tear flesh during an attack, and its teeth resemble those of a shark, locking onto its prey. The Komodo dragon can sprint at 11 miles per hour over short distances. Its saliva contains more than 50 types of toxic bacteria, making it nearly impossible for prey to survive a bite. Even if the prey escapes, it usually dies within 24 hours from infection, and the Komodo dragon can track it down and feed by following the scent. But what if the Komodo dragon faced off against another predator? Who would win? Let's dive into a list of the most dangerous animals that could stand up to the monstrous dragon. First, Komodo dragon versus crocodile. Crocodiles top the list of the world's deadliest predators. These fearsome creatures have existed since the age of dinosaurs and are the largest aquatic reptiles in the wild. They are designed for killing, with powerful jaws full of sharp teeth that sink deep into prey. Once a crocodile clamps down, escape is impossible. Only animals strong enough to disrupt the attack or fast enough to strike first can survive a crocodile. Attacking a fully grown Nile crocodile would be suicide for the Komodo dragon. Given the crocodile's massive weight, the dragon would find it nearly impossible to escape its jaws. Death would be inevitable. Crocodiles are also largely immune to toxins, so the Komodo's venomous bite likely wouldn't do much damage. Their aggressive immune systems attack bacteria on contact, making the Komodo's toxic saliva even less effective. Second, Komodo dragon versus hippopotamus. Although hippos are herbivores by nature, they are also among the most aggressive animals and are responsible for around 500 human deaths annually in Africa. Hippos are naturally more aggressive than the more patient and opportunistic Komodo dragon. Hippos can also run faster than the Komodo on land, giving them the upper hand in pinning down and crushing the dragon under their massive weight. Even though the Komodo has flexibility and better turning ability, it likely wouldn't be enough to escape a raging hippo. Thanks to the hippo's enormous jaw, capable of opening 180 degrees and immense strength, a single bite could easily crush the Komodo dragon in half. Their bite force is estimated at 2,000 pounds. Third, Komodo dragon versus anaconda. Large anacondas and other massive reptiles are known to prey on many kinds of reptiles. A truly massive anaconda could potentially kill and swallow a Komodo dragon. However, a large Komodo dragon might be able to kill a medium-sized anaconda. The Komodo dragon has learned over time to use tactical skill to outmaneuver larger prey or avoid deadly jaws. But if it isn't fast enough, the anaconda can crush it by coiling and squeezing until the dragon dies. This crushing could cause internal bleeding, weakening the Komodo, and eventually allowing the anaconda to devour it. Even if the Komodo strikes first with its sharp claws and venomous bite, the venom takes time to act. Too slow to stop the anaconda. The Komodo would likely lose the battle. Fourth, Komodo dragon versus tiger. If a tiger and a Komodo dragon were to fight, both might die. Komodo dragons are ambush predators. They attack, bite, release, and then follow their prey until the venom takes effect, then strike again to feed. Tigers are also ambush hunters. They leap from behind and aim for the spine, using a single crushing bite to paralyze or kill their prey. If the tiger jumps on the Komodo dragon, it would struggle against the dragon's armored neck and thick skin. Still, the tiger's immense bite force, which can penetrate crocodile skin, would eventually kill the Komodo. If the Komodo bites first, the tiger might still kill it, but die hours later from the venom. Fifth, Komodo dragon versus the king of the jungle, the lion. The Komodo dragon is the largest and most aggressive lizard on Earth, reigning over some islands in Asia with unmatched terror. but facing a dominant lion would result in a savage fight. Only one would walk away alive. Despite its size, the Komodo would be committing suicide by attacking the lion. The dragon may try to land its lethal bite, but the lion, with its power and intelligent tactics, would likely avoid the hit. The lion's bite force is 650 pounds per square inch, and its heavy paws make every strike dangerous. If the lion survives the bite, it would most certainly kill the Komodo dragon with its claws and fangs. Sixth, Komodo dragon versus the bear. If a Komodo dragon encounters a bear, especially one of the larger species, the bear would likely win. Bears can weigh up to 408 kilograms, many times heavier than the Komodo dragon, which weighs less than a quarter of that. This massive size gives the bear immense power. A strong strike from its claws could tear the Komodo apart. That doesn't mean the Komodo poses no threat. A bite could infect the bear, and the venom might eventually kill it within hours. But thanks to the bear's thick fur and loose skin, it's hard to land a lethal bite. This natural defense makes the bear much harder to kill. The Komodo dragon is no easy prey, but the encounter would likely become a brutal fight for survival.